The party that changed my life. Overcoming family manipulation and betrayal. I'll never forget the day of my baby's welcome party. I was pregnant, exhausted, but happy. We planned every detail with care and little money, but for me, it was special. When Letitia, my husband's niece, started destroying the gifts, I felt my world crumble. I cried, trembled, and didn't know what to do. And her mother, Paula, instead of intervening, started attacking me, calling me mean. It was humiliating. But in that moment, something awakened in me. Anger mixed with courage. I realized I needed to stand up for myself, protect my son and myself, and stop accepting abuse. The party descended into chaos. Diapers were ripped, clothes were thrown on the floor, and ointments were scattered. I felt helpless and embarrassed in front of everyone. I cried, but I also felt angry. I'd always tried to be close to Leticia, but nothing worked. Paula kept attacking me, justifying her daughter and blaming me. I realized no one would intervene and that I needed to make a decision. Cutting contact seemed the only way out. My husband supported me, and together we blocked Paula and Leticia. The feeling of loneliness was immense, but clarity also dawned. I needed to distance myself to survive emotionally. The party that was supposed to be a celebration became the turning point in my life. For the next few months, I relived the scene every night. The humiliation seemed unbearable, but something changed when João, Leticia's father, contacted me. He revealed that Paula manipulated her daughter out of frustration at not being able to have more children. Anger was met with relief. I finally understood it wasn't my fault. Leticia was a victim of manipulation, and that explained all her behavior. The truth brought clarity, but it also required courage to face reality. I began to realize that my strength lay not only in reacting that day, but in establishing clear boundaries to protect my son and my own emotional sanity. After the revelation, I realized that cutting contact with Paula was necessary and fair. Mauricio and I created a safe space for our son. We blocked social media and avoided social gatherings, and this brought an initial sense of peace, even though the pain was still there. I learned that respecting my boundaries isn't selfish, it's survival. Every night of crying, every memory of the party destroyed, served to strengthen my resolve. I needed to be a mother, a wife, and a whole woman. I learned that I didn't need anyone's approval to set boundaries. What seemed like the end of everything actually began to show me who I truly am. Someone capable of facing pain, injustice, and rebuilding my life. Over time, João began to get closer to Leticia, and she began to seek therapy. Gradually, I realized that she was also suffering, carrying guilt and pain that wasn't hers. I offered empathy, writing letters explaining my feelings and showing that I understood her position. This opened the door to reconciliation, without forgetting the pain, but allowing us to rebuild a healthy bond. I felt relief and hope. I learned that not everything depends on us, but we can offer understanding when possible. My relationship with Leticia began to change, and little by little, I realized that the worst day of my life could also become the starting point for something better. A future with peace, clear boundaries, and protected love. After João and Leticia got closer, I began to better understand the manipulation that had occurred. I realized how Paula projected her frustrations onto her daughter, making her an accomplice without her even realizing it. This brought me anger and pity at the same time. I saw that Leticia's pain was real, but that she needed to learn to deal with it. João apologized to me for everything and decided to separate from Paula to protect his daughter. This moment was decisive. For the first time, I felt hope that emotional justice and peace were possible. I began to envision a future without constant family conflict. Understanding Paula's manipulation made me aware of long-standing patterns of disrespect I'd ignored. I learned that it's not selfish to distance myself from those who only cause pain. I began to value my own well-being and that of my son above other people's expectations. Every decision, every limit I imposed, gave me clarity and strength. The trauma of the party still resurfaced, but now I had the emotional tools to deal with it. My self-esteem began to rebuild, and I realized that my son needed a safe home, full of love and respect, and that I was capable of providing that with courage. My relationship with Mauricio strengthened. We began to talk more about feelings, fears, and decisions. He became a full partner, and together we built a healthy environment. I learned that strength isn't just about enduring pain, but also supporting and protecting those we love. Our union became solid and conscious. Every Victory, no matter how small, was celebrated without fear of judgment. I realized that setting boundaries and facing conflict doesn't diminish love. On the contrary, it strengthens the family bond. This partnership gave me the courage to face everything that lay ahead, knowing I wasn't alone and that our choices protected our son. The gradual approach with Letitia was transformative. We started with simple conversations, messages, and then supervised meetings. She began to understand that her past actions weren't her fault. This brought relief and hope. I realized that empathy and forgiveness are powerful, but they require patience. She began to open up and show affection for my son without manipulation. This process taught me that relationships can be rebuilt when there's sincerity. I also realized that being firm with boundaries is essential. By protecting my son and myself, I was teaching her that respect and care are fundamental, even in difficult situations. My perception of family has completely changed. I learned that it's not about physical proximity or blood, but respect, trust, and genuine love. Joanne's example of courage in walking away from Paula reinforced this lesson. I understood that life doesn't have to be perfect, but it does need to be lived with clarity and purpose. Every act of protection, every firm decision, transformed my life and that of my family. What seemed like destruction became learning and strength. Today, I see that setting boundaries and seeking support are essential actions for building healthy relationships, protecting those we love, and creating a better future. Therapy helped me understand the trauma more deeply. I realized that my fear and shame were normal, but they didn't need to control me. Every memory of the ruined party brought me pain, but also strength. I began to reframe the experience and recognize my courage. I understood that cutting contact was a decision of survival, not selfishness. Little by little, I was able to create small routines of joy with my son and husband, celebrating simple achievements. I finally realized that my happiness depends on me, and that I can protect my emotional space, providing a safe and healthy environment for everyone around me. My relationship with Letitia evolved gradually. Initially, I was wary, but I realized she also suffered from guilt and manipulation. We began talking, always with patience and empathy. I explained my feelings and showed understanding, which paved the way for reconciliation. Gradually, she began to show affection for my son and grew closer in a healthy way. This process taught me that forgiving isn't about forgetting, but about choosing not to carry anger. I saw that manipulated children can also rebuild themselves with support. This experience showed me that it's possible to rebuild relationships even after deep trauma, with sincerity and effort. My life began to change when I realized my strength and resilience. Before, I swallowed pain and tried to please everyone, but I learned that boundaries are essential. Each step toward my emotional peace strengthened me. I began investing in myself, in my projects, in my self-esteem. My husband and son noticed this transformation, and it strengthened our family. I learned that strength is not the absence of emotion, but the ability to face challenges without destroying oneself. The pain still exists, but it doesn't paralyze me. Today, I can celebrate achievements, small and large, with gratitude and awareness, knowing that I am capable of overcoming any difficulty. Over time, I learned to understand Paula, not to justify, but to understand. She projected her frustration onto her daughter, creating conflict and pain. Understanding this pattern helped me avoid repeating toxic cycles. I decided that my priority is my son and my well-being. He will grow up in a home of respect, love, and protection, without competition or manipulation. Every choice I make reinforces my commitment to this security. I learned that we can't change everyone, but we can protect the ones we love. This clarity gave me peace and purpose. The ruined party that seemed like the worst moment has now become the starting point of my emotional freedom. Every day, I realize how much I've grown. The trauma taught me to set boundaries, to value my peace, and to protect my son. Today, I celebrate small achievements with gratitude, without fear of judgment. My relationship with Letitia and Joanne has evolved, with empathy and understanding, without manipulation. I've learned that forgiving and offering support can transform, but always respecting boundaries. The party that seemed like a disaster became a learning experience and strength. Today, I'm more resilient, aware, and determined. I understand that I can create a healthy life, full of love and respect. Each challenge has made me stronger, and I move forward with courage and hope. Over time, I realized how much my life has changed. Before, I was insecure, swallowed resentment, and sought approval from those who only hurt me. Today, I stand firm within my boundaries, protect my son, and prioritize my peace. Each decision to distance myself from Paula strengthened my self-esteem and showed me that I can rebuild my life even after humiliation. I learned to identify people who truly want what's best for me and to avoid being manipulated. Fear still lingers, but it doesn't paralyze me. The pain of the ruined party is there, but it has been transformed into learning, strength, and clarity about who I am and want to be. My relationship with Mauricio grew much stronger after everything. We talked about fears, traumas, and decisions, creating a solid partnership. He became a true support, and together we built a safe and loving environment for our son. I learned that strength isn't about enduring everything alone, but knowing how to ask for help and creating trustworthy bonds. Every achievement, no matter how small, became celebrated with gratitude. I realized that protecting a family involves dialogue, partnership, and mutual respect. This learning transformed the way I view relationships. Today, our union is based on love, trust, and care, not unrealistic expectations or fear. My bond with Letitia evolved. We started with simple conversations and meetings, allowing her to understand that she wasn't to blame. Gradually, she opened up and showed affection for my son. This experience taught me that relationships can be rebuilt with sincerity and patience. I also realized that protecting my son involves teaching respect and boundaries from an early age. Each step in this process brought hope, showing that it's possible to create healthy connections even after trauma. I understood that empathy and forgiveness strengthen bonds, but they must be balanced with emotional protection. Today, our relationship is light and healthy, based on trust and mutual understanding. Each day, I felt my heart expand beyond the pain. I began to see small achievements and moments of joy as signs that I was on the right path. Every smile from my son, every loving gesture from Letitia, and every sincere conversation with João reinforced my strength. I realized that even in difficult situations, it's possible to create love, trust, and security. I learned that it's natural to feel anger and pain, but that they don't have to define our actions. Today, I live with more lightness and purpose, understanding that life doesn't have to be perfect, but should be lived with authenticity and courage. The impact of that party was transformative. I went from being insecure and submissive to a strong, self-aware, and protective woman. I learned to set boundaries, recognize manipulation, and value healthy relationships. My life is now guided by respect, empathy, and true love. Each difficult decision brought learning and emotional freedom. The ruined party, which seemed like the worst moment of my life, became a symbol of my resilience and strength. Today, I know I can face any challenge, protect my son, and build a family based on trust and love. The pain exists, but it doesn't dominate me. Today, when I look back, I see how much I've grown. That ruined welcome party marked the beginning of a profound transformation. I'm Carolina, I'm 29 years old, a mother, and I experienced a trauma that seemed insurmountable. But every tear, every moment of anger and shame strengthened me. I learned to set boundaries, protect my son, and prioritize my peace. My life doesn't depend on anyone's approval. I learned to trust myself and build healthy relationships. What seemed like a disaster became a learning experience and strength, showing that it's possible to overcome extreme situations with courage and determination. The connection with Letitia was decisive. Gradually, we built a relationship based on trust and empathy. She learned she wasn't to blame, and I offered understanding without losing my boundaries. João also distanced himself from Paula, creating a safe space for his daughter. This experience showed me that relationships can be rebuilt with sincerity and patience. I learned the importance of protecting those we love, offering love and support without allowing manipulation. The pain still exists, but now there's room for hope and growth. I realized that forgiveness liberates and doesn't mean forgetting, just choosing not to carry anger. Life changed completely after that day. I learned that we don't have to accept emotional abuse to maintain peace. Each firm decision strengthened my self-esteem. I invested in myself, my son, and my family, creating a safe and loving environment. I understood that strength is facing challenges without destroying yourself, valuing achievements and celebrating small victories. The trauma hasn't disappeared, but now it serves as a learning experience. Today, I have clarity about who I want close to me, who should be kept at a distance, and how to create a healthy future. The ruined party was the starting point of my emotional freedom. My relationship with Mauricio and my son is stronger than ever. We talk about feelings, fears, and decisions, creating a true partnership. Each choice of emotional protection has strengthened our family. I learned that love is also about protecting and setting boundaries. Letitia is now a healthy part of our lives, showing that reconstruction is possible. I know difficult days will still come, but I now have the emotional tools to deal with them. Life doesn't have to be perfect, but it should be lived with authenticity, courage, and care. I've learned to live with hope and strength. Today, I look back on my life with pride. I overcame humiliation, manipulation, and profound pain. My strength, resilience, and awareness allowed me to create a safe and loving home. The trauma of the ruined party became a symbol of my ability to overcome challenges and rebuild relationships. I learned to prioritize my well-being and that of my son, to set boundaries, and to offer empathy when possible. Life goes on, and now it's lived with courage, clarity, and purpose. I am Carolina, a mother, a woman, and a survivor, and I continue building a healthy future, full of love, confidence, and peace.